On the left, we see a heart struggling, giving up and crying for help. And on the right, we see a heart in the exact same situation, yet steady and controlled, because the senior it belongs to knows exactly what to do. What if I told you that more than 805,000 Americans suffer a heart attack every year, and that over half never realize the first symptoms were warnings? This comes directly from the American Heart Association. Early signs often feel gentle even as the heart is already losing oxygen, and if seniors would understand what these signals mean, they could act before the crisis becomes irreversible. And here is why this is so urgent. Silent and unrecognized heart attacks rise sharply with age. As this happens, breathing tightens, energy drops, and pressure builds across the chest in ways seniors often dismiss as fatigue. Yet the same research showed real hope. Seniors who learned rescue steps discussed in this episode responded faster, reduced complications, and avoided the severe outcomes seen when treatment is delayed. Today's 5-second trick is even so significant that Japan's oldest doctor calls it one of the most dependable ways to protect an aging heart. So welcome back to another episode of the Senior Health Podcast, where East meets West to help you stay strong, steady, and independent. Today, we are uncovering the immediate actions that matter most and how you as a senior can use them when you are alone and every minute counts. And as always, Japan's oldest doctor, who has spent nearly a century studying how awareness protects the body, is here to guide us. Doctor, how important is this episode?
So important, John. Many seniors believe heart attacks strike without warning, yet what I am about to share could help you recognize danger minutes earlier and may give you the time needed to survive.
I believe that right away. I read here that studies in the Journal of the American Medical Association show seniors who act at the first chest symptoms have far better survival because treatment begins before major damage. Those who responded within 10 minutes avoided many of the worst complications.
Amazing, isn't it? What we could do to save ourselves if we just had the right knowledge. But before we start, I want to hear how common this topic is to everyone. Please comment a 1 if you or somebody you know had to deal with a heart attack, and comment a 2 if you have no experience.
That will give us some great insight. Now let's dive in. What is the 5-second trick seniors can do to survive a heart attack?
John, before we explain the 5-second trick, we first have to understand that a heart attack unfolds inside the body much faster than seniors realize. The moment a coronary artery tightens or blocks, the heart begins losing oxygen with every single beat. The body senses this drop immediately and tries to compensate in ways that can exhaust the heart even more. This is why acting early becomes the difference between stability and collapse.
That puts the entire moment in a completely different light. It makes me think about how many seniors felt something subtle without knowing how dangerous it already was.
Of course, and that subtle feeling often comes from a small rupture in a plaque that suddenly changes how blood flows through the artery. The body rushes to patch it, but that patching process narrows the vessel even further and reduces oxygen to the heart. When the heart senses that drop, it tries to pump harder, which creates even more stress on a muscle already struggling. This chain reaction moves quickly, especially when a senior is alone and unsure of what the first step should be.
I hear from many seniors that the shift from something feels off to something is wrong can be incredibly fast and frightening.
The key here is that the body whispers its warnings before it starts to shout. If seniors learn what those early whispers feel like, they can act while the heart is still fighting to keep them safe.
That makes me really stop and think because so many seniors describe early sensations that did not seem serious at all at first. It makes me wonder what those early internal signals actually feel like when the heart is beginning to struggle. Could you help us understand what the body is trying to say in those first moments before everything becomes urgent?
John, the early signals are often soft, and that is where many seniors get caught off guard. The heart begins sending these messages the moment oxygen drops, even before the pain becomes something recognizable. When seniors learn to hear these early shifts, they gain the chance to act before the crisis takes over.
I have heard so many seniors describe these moments as a strange heaviness or a feeling they cannot put into words. It is incredible how their bodies were warning them even when they did not know what to call it.
Yes, and those quiet warnings often come as subtle pressure, a sudden wave of fatigue, or a brief shortness of breath that does not match the moment. The heart is trying to keep up, but the reduced oxygen forces it to work harder. These gentle sensations are the body's way of asking for attention before things move too quickly.
It sounds like these early moments are far more meaningful than seniors realize.
They truly are, John. When seniors respond to these whispers, instead of waiting for the pain, they step into the only window where self-rescue has the most power. And when we teach them what to do next, that window becomes even more protective. There is a sequence of steps that helps the heart stabilize long enough for help to reach them.
That makes me lean in, because it sounds like these steps can guide seniors through those first frightening minutes when they are by themselves.
They can, and they begin with a method so practical and so memorable that seniors can recall it even under stress. Once we explain it, the 5-second trick will make much more sense. And together these two tools can give a struggling heart the support it needs to hold on.
I want to understand that method clearly, because it sounds like it could save lives. What does that sequence look like, and how does it guide a senior through those first urgent minutes?
I call this sequence ABCDEF survival method.
ABCDEF. What does that stand for?
John, the sequence begins with something seniors can remember even in panic, and that is the A for aspirin. Chewing a regular dose allows it to enter the bloodstream quickly, reducing the platelets that try to clot around the damaged artery.
But what if you don't have aspirin?
If a senior does not have aspirin, a small amount of cayenne mixed in water can sometimes support blood flow until help arrives. It is not a replacement, but in moments of desperation, it may buy the heart a little time. The idea is to keep the blood from thickening while the artery is struggling.
That makes the first step surprisingly practical, and something almost anyone can prepare for.
The next step is the B for breathing, because shallow breaths make the heart work harder during a crisis. Slow and steady breathing keeps oxygen moving and helps the body avoid the spirals of fear that tighten the chest even more. This leads directly into the C for calm, which protects the heart by reducing the surge of stress hormones that can worsen the blockage.
I hear seniors say all the time that staying calm feels impossible when the chest tightens, but your explanation makes that goal feel more reachable.
Yes, and once the mind steadies, we move into the D, which actually has 3 meanings. Don't eat, don't drink, and don't drive. Eating or drinking can complicate emergency treatment, and driving during a heart attack is one of the most dangerous choices a senior can make. Staying still protects both the senior and everyone around them.
It is powerful to realize how many losses have happened simply because someone tried to drive themselves. And I think the E is for emergency services.
Correct. Now we reach the most important letter, which is emergency services. Calling for help is not just a formality. It is the moment treatment truly begins, because the dispatcher becomes the senior's first medical partner. In Japan, there was a study from the Tokyo Metropolitan Acute Cardiac Research Group showing that seniors who called emergency services within the first 3 minutes had survival rates nearly double compared to those who waited longer, not because they reached the hospital faster, but because dispatchers guided them through stabilizing steps while help was on the way. Seniors often underestimate how powerful that voice on the phone can be.
That part strikes me so deeply, Doctor. I do not think most seniors realize that the call itself starts the treatment before a single paramedic even enters the home.
You are absolutely right, and the next moment after calling is just as important. Seniors should unlock their door immediately, even if they think they can greet responders when they arrive.
That makes so much sense.
Yes. Paramedics lose precious time breaking through locked doors, and those lost minutes can mean the difference between saving heart muscle and losing it forever. I have heard from emergency physicians in both Japan and the United States who say that those extra seconds feel like hours when a heart is dying. And something as simple as turning on a porch light helps responders locate the home instantly, especially in neighborhoods where house numbers are hard to see at night.
I cannot tell you how many paramedics I have met who say the exact same thing. They talk about arriving at a door, knowing someone is inside, and feeling helpless when every second is slipping away.
Yes, John, and staying on the line with the dispatcher might be the most misunderstood part of this entire process. Many seniors hang up after calling, either because they feel embarrassed or they believe they are burdening the system. But dispatchers are trained to stabilize both the body and the mind. They monitor breathing rhythm through the sound of the voice. They listen for changes in tone that suggest oxygen loss, and they guide seniors into positions that lessen strain on the heart, which we will discuss with our 5-second trick we will reveal very shortly.
I remember something about a dispatcher's principle in Japan.
Yes. In Japan, dispatchers are taught a principle called Mai no Ishi, meaning one breath ahead. It refers to anticipating the patient's next moment and guiding them gently before the crisis deepens. That is exactly how they keep seniors alive long enough for medical teams to take over.
It is beautiful how that phrase captures the entire purpose of the dispatcher. They are not reacting. They are giving the senior a breath of time.
And that breath is everything. When the senior stays connected, the dispatcher can hear panic rising and help slow it. They can instruct the senior to keep movements minimal so the heart does not burn more oxygen. They can detect pauses in speech that suggest deeper circulatory stress. These are subtle signs most families would overlook, but trained ears recognize them instantly. The phone call turns into a bridge, holding the senior steady while trained hands rush through the night. And every instruction on that call carries the intention of buying the heart a few more precious beats.
Hearing it explained like this makes the entire process feel so much more alive, so much more human than people imagine. Now I am wondering what the F stands for.
They do, and the last letter stands for friend or neighbor. It is always important to remind yourself you do not have to wait alone. Even if emergency services are already on the way, a nearby person can unlock the door, guide responders in, or simply offer presence during a frightening moment. This small connection can relieve stress and steady the heart.
I appreciate how much emphasis you place on not being alone during those early moments.
Of course. And when seniors understand the full ABCDEF sequence, they can move through it even when fear is rising, because each step has a purpose the heart recognizes. These actions create stability at a time when the body feels most unpredictable, and once these steps are done, the heart is ready for the 5-second trick that helps it settle even further.
That makes me even more curious now, because it sounds like the next technique works directly on the heart's immediate strain.
It does, and it is simple enough for any senior to use even when they feel overwhelmed. It brings the body back into a position where oxygen can flow more effectively, and it can be done in just a few seconds.
I would love to know how that works and how a senior can position themselves in a moment when everything feels unstable.
John, the positioning begins with something very simple. A senior should ease themselves onto their back or a stable surface and allow the body to stop fighting for balance. This alone reduces the workload on the heart. The next breath becomes calmer because the body is no longer trying to stand.
I can imagine how grounding that must feel in such a frightening moment.
Yes, and once the body is supported, bending the knees slightly or resting them on a pillow allows the diaphragm to move more freely. This gives the lungs more space and helps oxygen travel with less effort. When oxygen moves easier, the heart can slow down the desperate beating that often overwhelms seniors during those first minutes.
That helps me understand why posture changes everything. It is not just comfort, it is creating space for the body to work.
Exactly, and the next part of the technique is settling the shoulders so the chest can expand without tension. Even a small release of tightness can ease the pressure seniors feel rising toward the throat. Once the shoulders soften, the heartbeat begins to find a slightly steadier rhythm. These adjustments can be done in 5 seconds when the senior already knows the sequence. That's why we call this the 5-second trick.
It is incredible that something so fast can shift the entire moment.
Of course, and the final part is to rest the hands on the abdomen so the breath moves lower rather than staying trapped high in the chest. This simple placement encourages deeper breaths without forcing them. As the breath deepens, the vagus nerve begins to calm the heart, and the heart responds quickly to this kind of gentle support.
I love how each step works together and gives seniors something they can do even when panic is rising.
Yes, and when seniors realize how much control they still have in those first seconds, the fear often softens just enough for clearer thinking. That clarity is what allows them to follow the life-saving steps we shared earlier. This whole technique is not about perfection, it is about giving the heart a moment to breathe again, and many seniors are surprised by how quickly their bodies respond once they stop fighting the moment.
It feels reassuring to know that such small actions can create a lifeline when someone is alone.
They can, and this is where preparation becomes just as important as the technique itself. Seniors who understand these steps before anything happens often use them with greater confidence, and that confidence changes the outcome more than most expect.
It makes me wonder what preparation actually looks like for a senior, especially when fear and uncertainty can be so overwhelming.
John, preparation begins with something very human. Seniors feel safer when they understand their bodies and know how to respond, even in small ways. That sense of readiness reduces fear, and fear is often the heaviest weight on the heart.
I see that in so many seniors who tell me they freeze because they feel unprepared. When they learn simple steps, their entire relationship with their own body changes.
Yes, and confidence grows each time a senior practices the breathing or the positioning we shared today. These small rehearsals teach the nervous system that it is not powerless, even during a frightening moment. When the body remembers a pattern, the mind follows it with less hesitation. That is why simple repetition before a crisis makes such a deep difference.
It is almost like the body learns to trust itself again when it knows what to do.
Exactly, John, and that trust creates a kind of inner steadiness that seniors carry into their daily lives. Preparation is not only for emergencies, it shapes how they walk, breathe, and make choices long before anything goes wrong. This steadiness can soften anxiety and help seniors feel more in control of their health. It gives them the courage to act early instead of waiting for symptoms to become severe, and it reminds them that protecting the heart is something they can participate in every day.
It is a powerful message to end on, and I hope every senior listening feels a little stronger and a little more capable tonight. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It supports us a lot. Oh, and watch this next video right now.
Yes, please.
We've picked this one especially for you.